Anybody here from Denmark or Norway? Anywhere in Scandinavia? No? Whereabouts are you from? Where, sorry? Sweden. Well, this may well apply to services in Sweden as well. The mechanical restraints, do you use those in Sweden? Yeah. These are used frequently in the US, in many states, certainly in parts of Europe, particularly Scandinavia. In Denmark recently, very good people in Denmark and in Norway have been making serious attempts to try and operate a general adult acute ward without the use of this type of equipment. Now, is this going to work for me? Yeah. Let me just play this video, just for those who've never seen it. I'm going to get on to seclusion in the debate just now. I'm not making all this up to delay it. In fact, I've lost the presentation. But for those who've never seen it, that's how it works. Now, in Denmark, and this is James Wright, who you would have seen star in a video if it didn't dis. Oh, I think it is back. And we went to Copenhagen, some very good people in Copenhagen working on developing services. And when I say that we went on business and James ended up strapped to a bed in Copenhagen for financing businesses. So that's how it works. Now, the reason we put that up is because if you talk to people in Norway and possibly Sweden, but certainly in Denmark, people will tell you they cannot operate general adult wards without resort, more often than you might think, sometimes for days or even longer at the time, to that kind of intervention in order to contain disturbed behaviour. And there are very good people making, open-minded people making big efforts to try and look beyond that. And I wonder, when there are those who talk about, do we have to lock a patient alone in a room, traditional seclusion? Do we have to do that? There are many of us that are persuaded, absolutely we do. And if you don't have to do that, your patients are different to our patients, those that need that. If you talk to people in Denmark, these are general adult wards, not even PICUs a lot of the places, they will tell you, yes, we definitely have to do that. And if you don't have to do it, your patients are different to our patients. So that's the starting point. What I'd like to do, and this thing's going well in front of me, I think we're doing all right. Is that a thumbs up or is he the middle finger? I'm not sure. No, thumbs up. Thumbs up, we're okay. Lovely. Good, that's reassuring. Right, so I want to ask two questions out of this. The first question is, do we need to lock patients alone in a room, traditional seclusion? I know that it's broadened in the 2015 code to include those that are restricted to an area or place and separated from their peers. But for those who lock people, who here has a facility that locks people alone in a room, puts them in, locks the door? That looks like the vast majority. Who doesn't? But there's a few here that don't. So already there's maybe different types of human beings in some type of facilities and others potentially. Now, the other problem we have is the new code, as revised in 2015, has caused a lot of confusion, and some of this was mentioned earlier on about when is zoning, when is the extra care area, when does seclusion stop and start, what is the regulatory framework. But that's okay, because on that second question, now PICU, I can put forward today a position statement on the regulation of the locked seclusion room, the extra care area, how it is and why it would be that you would regulate people with the new definition of seclusion. You regulate the monitoring of that activity and what you record and so on. So we think we've sorted that out for you and us. Good, isn't it? Because everyone's been arguing for ages. Right, Dan, can you hear me? Is it running, the video? How do I get to it? Oh, we're on YouTube. Oh, right, nice. Okay. Right, I need to, can I control it from here, Dan? No. Go back. No, back the other way. No, forwards. Oh, look at that. You like that? Stop. Back. Stop, back. Stop. Just put up with me there. I don't want you to. This is a piece of work. Before we play it, I can't control. This is just turned into a stand-up, hasn't it? There's no plug. See the journal? Completely accidental. Totally accidental. And that smug look on your face. Right. Watch this, because this is a video that we've done with the Department of Health in order to inform CQC inspectors about extra areas, seclusion and so on. This will be a very familiar scenario probably to those of you who've locked people alone in a room. Now, thanks to AWP, the Wiltshire Trust for Use of the facility, it's being decorated, so we moved in there and made some films as you do. Just, can we roll this down? Just watch this scenario and I'll shout stop when we get to the point.
Of course, remember that they're not professional actors. Everybody that you see
the stars and matron
follow are members of the mental health staff. We've tried to make the scenarios as realistic as possible, drawing on our own experience from scenarios that sometimes occur. So the first scenario you're about to see, scenario 1, is the use of traditional seclusion.
Don't need you! Don't need you! Don't need you! Call this! Hear me first! If you're not you back up!
Okay,
back up!
okay,
Please come to me!
Come and talk to me.
Please, if you not need you, back up! Back up!
Okay, James.
Back up!
Okay,
okay. Please come and do what you can go!
Okay, Jim, I can hear you yourself, or we'll take them to a more quieter, safer environment.
Please come
Let's go with me, please, James.
You better let me go around this.
So let's see.
You don't let me go around. Tell me now what I need to do.
Nice and steady, James.
Go on, please.
Nice and steady.
It's not going to be really good.
Just follow us around, James, please. That's it. Nice and steady, doing really well. We're just going to get you onto this bed, okay?
You're not going to go on that bed.
Come onto the bed for me, James, please.
I don't go on that bed.
James, can you please come onto the bed? Just to make things safe. Just supposed to attack me. We need to make things safe. You come onto the bed, please.
No.
Please come onto the bed. Please come onto the bed. Please come onto the bed. That's it. Come on the bed.
You better let me see.
Come onto the bed. Please come. We'll talk about that, okay? That's it. Turn your head to the side over there.
Yeah.
And just make sure you can breathe, okay?
Because I can breathe, I'm talking to you.
Okay, I don't want to keep you in this position for long, so we're going to leave you in here for a bit on
I don't want to stay in the room. Please come in, Andy. I tell you what, you didn't have to go. You're next. You hear me? You're next.
I'm going to leave you for a little bit.
You're next. Anybody else that gets about that? I want to see the police. I want to see him now.
Okay, well, let's go.
What's the one thing to see? I was defending myself. Get off me! Get off! Get off, get out. I tell you what, Andy, right now, you're in trouble now. You're in trouble. Let me out! Let me out! Andy, you're in trouble, listen. It wasn't my fault.
Can you cut that down just there, or hold it just there in that position? Didn't do a bad job of it, did he, James? That's a nice straightforward scenario because we know what that is. That person is locked alone in a room. We're the other side of the door. You're monitoring. Chapter 26, it is now, of the Code of Practice, starts for all the reviews and so on at the point that that door is locked. 15 minutes outside, recordings, 2 hours, review, 2 nurses, doctor, and so on with nurse, 4 hours, and on it goes. So is that familiar to people? Right, we haven't got time to do too much of this, but I'm going to miss. Can we move it along, Dan? I'll tell you where to. If you get, keep going. Stop. Back a bit. Stop there. Right, we're going to show you another scenario, exactly the same beginning. Actually, these are all original takes every time we do it, but with a different way of doing business at the end of it. If you can roll that for me, Dan.
And the patient will leave the room together.
So this isn't actually a conclusion.
Don't need you.
But have a
Don't
look.
need you. I definitely don't need you. I'll call the police. It is. I call the police. I don't need any of you. Back off. I don't need you. Don't just talk about it. Get off, please. Get off. Get off, please. Get off, please. The police are running away. Get off, please. I don't need you. Get off. Get off. What are you doing now? Okay. I want to stay here. The police are running away. Get off. Get off, please. We didn't let you go. Just get off, please.
Okay, just come over the James, please. That's it, we've got to just sit on this sofa.
Everybody sit down.
We'll get back now. Sit down for me, James. Explain to me what happened. I know what's going on. Sit down for me. Sit down. Let go. Release your head.
Let go. I don't need any of you now.
Okay.
Please don't let me need any of you.
James, why did you just, what was all that about? You just trying to assault me.
Andy, I've been assaulted myself. All I wanted is the police to come. I phoned them, I want to stay there and wait for them. That's all I want to do.
Can we drop the sound down a bit? Let it play, but drop the sound. Just drop the sound down a bit. I'm going to speak to this because we've run out of time. We're running out of time. What's exactly happened here is exactly what happened before. And we will pay for that phone, Alan, for AWP. Sorry about that, can you keep silent? The difference is there's not a seclusion room bed and an exit procedure from the seclusion room. Most people will be familiar with this PMVA procedure for de-escalation. Agreed? So, in this scenario, then, is this seclusion? Well, the argument we're making, and we've made it in our position statement, and the CQC and the Department of Health have endorsed this video for inspectors, is that's not seclusion, nor is it really the use of the ECA. This could happen anywhere, but we've did it in an ECA. The key point is, when they finished their PMVA procedures, which includes verbal de-escalation, which you'll do in a minute, they will all get up and leave together. Dan, can we scoot this along just a little bit? Just to see, scoot it along just a little bit, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, about there. Just go back a little bit, get back there. So they finished negotiating, they finish the PMVA procedure, everybody leaves. So that isn't seclusion, it's not even use of the ECA, that's an episode of restraint and an episode of PMVA across the range of interventions. Now that is regulated in the Code of Practice, and it's a different chapter where restraint is regulated. So, what we propose in our position statement, which will be available on the NAPICI website very, very soon, in that scenario, that's not an episode of seclusion. It requires none of the procedures that you would associate with their monitoring. Now, so when does that scenario turn into an episode of seclusion according to the new definition? And again, if I had time to do this, we would say that it doesn't have to necessarily be in these designated ECAs or seclusion rooms. You can seclude everyone in a bedroom. You know, I've done reviews, and I know Andy Johnston, who's worked on this, along with Bernard, position statement will tell you, do you use seclusion? No, we don't, no seclusion room here. But what we find is if you put your shoulder on the door and wedge it firm, you can really make sure people stay in their room. But we don't use seclusion. Wouldn't get into that at all. So there are different ways to examine what an extra care area or seclusion room is. Now, so when does this scenario actually turn into the use of seclusion then? Dan, can we skip this along again? What we're going to do, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Can we see it on? Oh, we can see it on there. Keep going, keep going. Is that fun getting some stick again? Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Just back a bit, back a bit, back a bit, back a bit, back, 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 back. Stop there. Can you play it from there? Have we got some sound? We tried to make this realistic, as I've said. Now, everyone who's watched this says at this point they've lost faith in our realism. Do you know why? That's Dr. Jim Radel from He's deputy editor of the Journal, shares an office next to mine, and one of my best friends in the world. But as soon as he walks on, well, that's it now. That'll never happen. Sorry about that for our consultant colleagues. Can we skip? I just needed that bit in, really. Can we skip that? Keep going, keep going, keep going. Stop. Try it from there. So, right. No, go back a little bit. Go back a little bit, if you don't mind. The reason this is important, because there's a point. Can we go back a little bit more? Right there. That's it, yeah, just from there. If you turn the sound up, down, please.
What are you asking them for? I just said to you, am I all right? You don't need to ask it every time, do you? I said I'm fine, I'm going to go to the room and chill. What is wrong with that?
Okay, James, I know you want to do that, we're going to do it in a safe way, okay? And we work together so we're going to make things safe all around for everybody.
This is safe. I haven't done anything. I'm sitting here and I'm still chill. I'm still chilled.
Okay, well, I want you to stay in here, okay, for a bit longer. Lie in bed, it's a bed you can lie on, watch a bit of TV.
Drink some cider.
That's all now. Just stop me leaving.
Yes, we are.
I've got to stay in with you guys, right?
Yeah, we're all going to stay here together.
But that's at 2 o'clock on that clock, mate.
Okay.
Thank you, Dan. Now, scenario one, we've locked the door, we've walked away, everybody knows where they are, and lots of hands went up, we run that system. Lots of us don't run that system at all. We have no rooms into which we can lock anybody singly where I am, and there are others, there are others here who also have that facility. What we have is this type of facility. Now, in the previous scenario, as soon as it was all over, we all left. So that's not seclusion, that's an episode of restraint. In this scenario, it's calmed down to some extent. We finished the procedures of negotiation and de-escalation. He wants to leave the room and we've told him he can't. So he's in a place separated from his peers. He's in the company of the staff. He would prefer to leave and we won't let him. At that moment, that's when, in the traditional seclusion sense, the door is shut. And then you start the monitoring. Now, it's even more interesting because in our position statement, it's not in this video because we hadn't developed it to this extent at the point we made the video. So when does extended use of the ECA turn into extended segregation, which has a different regulatory framework to the use of traditional seclusion? Well, we've proposed if you all need to be in that room for more than 72 hours, you're running your seclusion reviews and so on, which is the right thing to do because nobody wants to be sat there forever. The use of the ECAs in this way in extended time causes a problem. You've taken someone to the ECA because they've behaved badly, something's happened. Because they're in the ECA, they behave badly. And it's a cycle that goes on and on and on that to some extent needs to be broken. So after 72 hours, serious consideration needs to be given, well, what are we doing now then? We've proposed in the NAPICU position statement, we're hoping to have the endorsement of the Department of Health and CQC, who've endorsed this much, is that consideration ought to be given to extended segregation, which then means it's one approved clinician review a day, rather than the 2 hours, 4 hours, and so on. For any use of the ECA where you're not separated from the staff, 15 minutes records we're proposing are not necessary. Use the guidance in the code, which is hourly summaries. You don't want to be sat in a room trying to engage with somebody in a disturbed situation. Oh, hang on, let me just write that down. So, sorry, what were you saying? 5 minutes, hang on, all right, so, okay, write that down. Carry on, because the guidance assumes that you're the other side of a locked door. So I haven't got time to show you the position statement, but it will be available on the website, and I was really hoping we could get some discussion going. The two primary questions that I think we're going to try and get onto the app is, do we have to lock patients alone in a room, or can most, or if not all scenarios be dealt with this way? Question one. Question two, how confused are we still about how this stuff is regulated, recorded, and so on? And what do you make of the proposals we've made? Now, I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties, but hopefully we got to the main points. Thank you.